I try to make my decisions based upon other factors, but I also recognize the image of Arkansas is important and that we have a growing economy. And when people want to look at Arkansas, I want them to think of a place that is tolerant, that has a hate crime bill, that is acceptance of people that might be different, and that we put a value on other people's lives that might be different than ours. I want that image of Arkansas. Image is also always important for a governor and the impression people have of our state, and so that is a factor.
That was Governor Asa Hutchinson, governor of Arkansas, earlier today when he announced his veto of the SAFE Act, the Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act, House Bill 1570. That was overwhelmingly passed by the state legislature there. I think we're going to be joined by the bill's author, State Representative Robin Lundstrum, in a moment. They're actually still in session, so she's working on bills. In fact, the next step here, I'm just going to jump into this because this is something I've actually had conversations with. I had a conversation with the governor over the weekend on this, encouraging him if once I detected a little bit of hesitation to allow it to become law without his signature. Obviously today, he did not do that. I respect the governor, disagree with the governor, but certainly respect the governor. He's been on the program before. But the legislature is more conservative than the governor. And this measure passed by a pretty extensive margin. It was 77 to 22 in the House and 27 to 8 in the Senate. Now, Arkansas is kind of a unique state, one of about 6 states that only require a bare majority to actually override a governor's veto. And so as a result, because Asa is a little on the moderate side, trying to be nice, a little on the moderate side, he's actually been overridden a number of times by the state legislature. So if you live in the state of Arkansas, I encourage you ASAP to contact your state representative and your state senator and encourage them to override the governor's veto of the SAFE Act. Now, if you need more information, go to tonyperkins.com. We've got action items there on the website for you. But look, this is a very straightforward piece of legislation. Now, he raised a number of issues, about image perception. Look, I'm certainly glad that Governor Kemp was not concerned about perception, because perception can be manipulated. And that's exactly what the left is doing. When you look at a bill like this, it's very straightforward. It simply says that if you're under the age of 18, you cannot have these, in most cases, irreversible drugs, off-label drugs, and surgeries. Real simple. And it also prohibits taxpayers from being forced to pay for it and insurance companies to underwrite it until they're at the age of 18. There is a whole host of activities that if you're under the age of 18, you cannot engage in. All right, we've got State Representative Lundstrum now on the line. We interrupted her legislative activities, and we thank her for joining us. Representative Lundstrum, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and I apologize. I was running a bill in committee, and it just kept going and going, and I'm so sorry.
No need. I understand. Been there, done that. So no need. So we were just talking about the governor vetoed earlier today. The legislature, simply by a simple majority, can override his veto. What does it look like?
Well, I know the legislature, and myself included, a number of legislators are extremely disappointed. And as soon as the governor's letter explaining the veto arrives, which I suspect will be tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we will address it then. And I hope that we can override the veto and we can protect children in Arkansas.
Now, he called on legislators to come up with something, quote, a more restrained approach that allows for studying the issues before acting. Now, I don't know if it's the same thing in Arkansas, but it was when I was in the legislature in Louisiana. That a study in the legislature is the legislative graveyard. That's to bury the issue.
That's correct. That's 2 years of silence and crickets. That doesn't accomplish anything. This bill was tightly crafted and specific to address one issue, and that's protecting children from sex change procedures, both surgically and chemically. I don't know how much more tightly crafted that you need. So, no, that doesn't really solve the problem. In fact, that just kicks the can down the road and allows children to be abused for 2 more years.
So, Robin, in listening to the governor's veto message, obviously he got it wrong by not signing it, but what factually is he off base on that the people need to know about?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is that this is something that's not needed. I would strongly disagree. This is something that is needed. No, we're not doing surgery on children in Arkansas, but when you give chemicals to a child, when you give drugs to a child that will cause infertility and long-term health problems, it's the same. If you cut off an arm or give a child the chemicals to cut off an arm, it's the same. I don't see the difference, and we can't just turn our back on children. And I think we can't turn our back on parents. Parents are under a lot of pressure these days to go with the trend, and I think we need to have the parents back as well.
Well, and there have been those that have raised this issue. Well, the parents should make this decision. Well, we don't let the parents make the decision whether or not a kid needs to be in a car seat or wear a seatbelt. There are certain things that we say, look, this is for the well-being of society, because we all pay the price for this.
Well, and to put a finer point on it, we don't allow children to have alcohol until the age of 21. And
right, even if a parent can't go out and get the child drunk either.
That's correct. And you're not allowed to change your name until 18. Why would you allow them to alter their bodies in such a way until they're old enough to understand the consequences of their decision?
Yeah, very straightforward, very common sense-based legislation. All right, we're out of time, but quickly, what do people in Arkansas need to do now?
They need to contact their legislators and let those House and Senate members know that they've got their backs as well. And hopefully tomorrow we can put this thing to rest soon. But the people of Arkansas need to speak.
All right, very good.
Hopefully that will happen.
We'll encourage folks to do that. Representative Robin Lundstrum, thanks so much for joining us today. As always, great to talk to you.